Hi, I'm Sharon Abaud. I'm an immigration attorney in the area of Los Angeles, California. Today I'm going to talk about the I-131 or the travel permit that you can file you can file it in various situations, but today I'm going to talk about when you can file it while your adjustment of status application is pending. Now, I've talked about adjustment of status before, so there are two ways of immigrating to become a resident. One way is if you're already in the United States, you can immigrate in the United States. Now, not everyone qualifies for that. Some people do have to leave and immigrate the second way, which is outside the U.S. So that means that they have to leave abroad and go to the interview to a U.S. embassy or consulate office. And there they would obtain paperwork, and then once admitted through the U.S. port of entry, they would become a resident. Now, if you have to immigrate outside of the U.S., this does not apply to you. This applies only to people who qualify to immigrate within the United States, either because you have maybe 245I or a family military member, or maybe you entered lawfully. So while your case is pending, even though you're not a resident yet, you can file what's called the Form I-131 or permission, advanced parole permission. That means that you're asking permission to leave the country and be allowed back in even though you're not a resident yet. Now, something just happened to a colleague of mine, which was a reminder to me of why I always tell my clients, let's do it if you really have to, but let's try not to. I mean, if you're just going to travel for fun, I don't really recommend it. But if there's a family member who's very ill or someone who passed away, then I'll leave it to the client to say, hey, I'm willing to take this risk. Because traveling with advanced parole or permission to re-enter it's no guarantee. Just because you have that paper in hand does not guarantee you're going to be let back in. And what happened to my colleague recently with his client is a reminder of that. So what happened was that my colleague had filed this permission to travel, and his client was given this, and then he left to his home country, and while he was abroad visiting, the attorney and the client's address in the U.S. Received what's called a request for more evidence, and they gave them 2 months to respond. They wanted a longer, with more detail. They wanted a birth certificate that was a different version than the one they had submitted. And so the client went abroad while he was in South Africa, went to the office where he needed to obtain the birth certificate, the longer version, and they told him it was going to take 6 months to give to him. They couldn't find any way to rush this or anything. And immigration only gave him 2 months to respond. So there's a problem. Now, the attorney may be able to save this, and depending on the situation, they may be able to extend it. The most likely situation, however, is that immigration will deny this, and and since he's not in the U.S. anymore, he's going to have to immigrate from abroad. Hopefully it doesn't get to this, but now their case is at risk. We had a good, strong case that was healthy, and then because he left and something happened while he was abroad, his case is now at risk. Was it worth it? I don't know what the situation was, but this sort of thing can happen. And also in our current political climate, I mean, we see people getting denied at the port of entry sometimes. In the beginning of January 2017, we saw even lawful permanent residents having problems. So someone with just a permission to travel can has even less protection than a permanent resident. So I don't advise it. If it's not something urgent, I would strongly recommend that you wait to become a resident to travel. If it is an emergency, then it's something that I'm happy to help clients with, but I want them to fully be aware of the risk when they agree to this. I hope I answered some questions with this topic. If you have any other questions, feel free to call, message, comment. My name is Sharon Abaud. I'm an immigration attorney in the area of Los Angeles, California. Thank you very much.